collect evidence and you follow the evidence where it leads you.
That's how you get to find out who it was.
And the evidence leads towards Lee Harvey Oswald doing this. And if you start to stray from that, then it doesn't only open up the CIA. It doesn't only open up it doesn't only open up the CIA. It doesn't only open up the mafia. It opens up Cuba. It opens up literally everybody that could potentially have
that's why
Russia.
you investigate those things.
I can tell you why those are unrealistic. Would you like to know?
Go ahead.
Well, okay, if you're a massive organized crime family in America, or a collection of families in America, what kind of heat do you think would come down on you if it's ever found out that somebody at all associated with your family was involved in the killing of the American president? I mean, we're at the height of RICO. Yeah. Like RICO trials going nuts at this point. Like, everybody's all about RICO. So that they had motive because of the amount that JFK was going against them to try to clean up the streets. But the logic of them wanting to do it and what could happen to their organizations if found out starts to make it much less likely that they would be.
I agree with you. I'm not debating.
Okay,
that.
Russia. We're at the height of the Cold War. We've got 100,000 million trillion gajillion nuclear bombs aimed at their frickin' nation.
Not that many.
They've got an equal amount of frickin' missiles aimed at our nation.
Not that many.
It's found out that they are responsible for the assassination of our president. I mean, you've heard of the mutual destruction. That was if they shoot missiles before they hit, we're going to shoot all of ours, because if we're all going to die, they're all going to die, and everybody's just going to be dead. That was the marching orders of the Cold War. If they fire, we fire. So it's survival. Like, do you know the reason no bombs or missiles or overt military action happened during the Cold War is they knew what we could do, because, I mean, we did it twice, only nation on earth that's ever done it. And we knew what they could do because we seen what happened when we did it. And we knew they had the capability to do it. So yeah, it's never going to happen. But Russia, it's unlikely that they would try to assassinate our president, because that is, while it's unlikely to happen, I'm not going to go kill somebody who's got guns pointed at my kids' heads. And that's essentially what would happen. They would shoot the president, and then America shoots the guns that are pointed at all of their kids' heads.
Okay, so
Russia, that doesn't make sense. And Cuba, that makes even less sense because of the lack of power and ultimate foothold they had in our nation. Russia makes more sense because of all of the awesome KGB spies that were so well trained that even today we're finding out that families that just, once it was over, just stayed America and stayed in their false identities. Like, that was amazing. They did great. And I believe we did equally well with Russian people over there, with our spies over there. But Cuba's unrealistic because they didn't have that control. In fact, if Oswald was at all involved, and it's very obvious he was there and he was involved in some way, shape, or form, Cuba hated him. He begged to come to Cuba. He wanted to come and help. And they're like, yeah, you're nuts. Get out. Go away. Stay away. We don't want you.
Which I think lends more credence to him wanting to do it, right? Because he wanted to prove his worth. But so I have three questions, and I'm gonna ask one, and then I'm gonna forget the other two, I'm sure. But
sounds good.
Sounds about right.
My first question is, if you're holding
Hold on,
the CIA,
we're over 2 hours here, guys. You guys are killing me right now. I hate you both. Fuck you both.
I have three questions.
We're cutting it off at 10:30.
If
oh my god, 2.5 hours.
I'm going to be done before 10:30. If
he's got three questions,
now I have two questions because I can't remember the third one.
All right, we'll crack that other one out of there.
My first question is, if the CIA is involved and they should be investigated, as you guys said, and they're not included in the Warren Commission and everything else, and the final report and blah, 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 why isn't Lyndon Johnson in that report? Why isn't he investigated to the same standard that you guys think?
CIA that's a great question. Why wasn't he? He certainly should have been.
Absolutely should have been. Well, he wasn't because he founded the Warren Commission. He ran it, and Arthur Doles, the other commissioner on there that had a huge part in all of the investigations, was the CIA director that Kennedy fired. So, I mean, he has a lot of loyalties to another organization that wasn't.
I think you're just proving the ineffectiveness of the commission with your question.
Why does Lee Harvey Oswald kill the deputy or the sheriff or whatever the hell he kills?
And hold on, before you ask your other question, one other thing
I already asked
that should have caused that to be investigated, Lyndon Johnson, was this woman named Madeline Brown, who claimed that
his mistress?
Yeah, his mistress, who said that he told her that he was involved. So I mean, she was spreading that around. That's at least worthy of investigation.
We're definitely worthy
she
of
may have
investigation.
been a lunatic, but still.
That one was refuted just based on public records of where she was at during the time of the party.
It doesn't matter though. You should still have
it should have. It was enough
with that type of a claim.
Enough to look into it. Absolutely enough to look into it.
But the point is that there's pieces of this that weren't investigated, and it's not.
Yeah, that is the point. You're right.
There was not going to be a trial for this, right? You take a different approach with a government investigation than if
Lee Harvey Oswald hadn't been killed, there would have absolutely been a trial. There was no trial because
there was a state
trial.
Why did trial?
No, but that doesn't matter. State or federal, it's still a trial.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? It does matter.
No, because it's still a trial, and truth comes out in a trial. But facts come out. He gets to say, no. So let's say here. Let's go to your second question.
Say whatever the fuck he wants to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
matter. That's true.
Let's
go to your second question. If you're in the sixth story of the book depository, and you're firing a rifle, and your intent is to kill the president, but you realize you just took one shot and it was horrible, and two other bullets ring out, or you took two shots and they were horrible, and another bullet rings out, and you see the president's head explode, and you realize that, holy shit, I didn't do that, and then you're trying to be arrested, and the president was just killed, and you know you were involved in some of the actions, pretty sure your crazy ass is going to shoot that cop to try to get away.
That is a...
No.
You're saying that
no, he just took shots at the president, but he's definitely not going to kill... He's definitely not going to kill a cop.
No, but your thought process is that Lee Harvey Oswald was just shooting pellets out of the fucking 6th floor, and then he missed, and he's like, oh, fuck, somebody's trying to assassinate the president, and then he runs and
No, not, oh, fuck, oh, somebody's trying to, oh my gosh, I was trying to protect him. It wasn't something like that. He's trying to do it. And then he realizes he failed, and somebody else succeeded.
That's a whole different level of nonsense right there.
But you asked why if he didn't do it, why would he kill the cop? That is an absolutely 100% plausible thing.
No,
I have no evidence to back it up, but it is a plausible thing that could have happened that would make somebody who didn't kill the president shoot a cop to get away.
The premise of that is what you're saying is, so there's two assassins, right? There's
two shooters. That is one of the biggest theories of all time.
There's two assassins. There's one, Lee Harvey Oswald, that may or may not have his own motive, or may not have been hired by an organization to do
or
this.
Jackie Kennedy.
So in lieu of them hiring Lee Harvey Oswald, or in tandem of them hiring Lee Harvey Oswald, they also hire somebody else, right? So that person is in a different building, in a different.
Yep.
Do they know about each other? Do they not know about each other? I have a ton of questions, but so. They hire Lee Harvey Oswald, knowing his military record, knowing all of this stuff. So he goes in this ideal spot, this premier spot for assassinating the president.
It's a horrible spot. It could not. The angle is next to impossible.
Yeah, except the president gets his face blown off from that position, so it can't be that bad of a spot.
But that's the
so
point that we're debating is whether or not it was from that position. I'm just that's not the foregone conclusion. The foregone conclusion is the president's head was shot off. Now, who did it? But the foregone conclusion isn't it came from that window. Now, let's say there were these months of the CIA following and investigating Lee Harvey Oswald. Now, let's say during that period of time. Now, granted, I have no evidence to back it up. I am just giving you some thought things that are very realistic and could have happened. So let's say the CIA is following them and they hear Lee Harvey Oswald say, "Oh man, I've got a job at the Texas School Book Depository building. I've got a perfect vantage point. When he comes through, I'm going to take some shots. I'm going to try to kill this guy to make Russia happy so they let me back in because fuck America, man." And the CIA hears this, and the CIA all along is like, dude, we've been trying to figure out a way to get at the president. Man, he's going to try. What if we look at this building back here that is always ignored, called the Daltex building, that has almost the exact same line of sight, but just a little bit better, and we put one of our operatives up there, and they take a shot at the same time he takes a shot, and then it kills him, and then everybody's going to think it's him.
One of our guys
Nobody's
that can
gonna think it's
actually
us.
shoot.
Your faith,
Your faith
in the CIA
that
is unwarranted. I think. I don't think they have that much. They have that much ability to completely.
But I mean, we can verify that they have that ability throughout the entirety of the Cold War. The CIA they are excellent assassins. You can look at declassified documents of assassinations in the Middle East, in Russia, all perpetrated and done by CIA operatives.
Yeah, but
like these are all things that the CIA is very, very fucking capable of.
But
like they've got an entire organization of 007s that can take these damn shots, not washed up Marines that were honorably discharged and couldn't shoot as good as when they got in. But that sounds like a damn good scapegoat. Go on, sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. I'm just trying to interject my opinion because yours sucks. There is no evidence. Don't assume that the CIA, just because they're pissed off at Kennedy and backed up against the wall for Kennedy, that they change their MOs and start to operate on American soil. Because yes, they have done assassinations, and yes, they have had success in all of this, but operating on American soil is something that is so sacred, or not operating on American soil is so sacred to the CIA and to all of these organizations that don't do that. And the reason, I mean, we don't do assassinations anymore for several reasons, but there are more than enough reasons to say that the CIA, regardless of how pissed off they are not going to be as petty as to operate on American soil and assassinate our president. I just don't. They're not. I think it's not an organization that's set up to be that petty.
I think your faith in their morality and their patriotism of not doing that is misplaced. I don't think there's enough evidence to say they wouldn't do that.
But I don't think there's enough evidence for anything and any of this.
Since when, Chase, do you give a shit about evidence?
Well, I've presented evidence in every goddamn episode we've talked about, so don't question me as to evidence.
Yeah, but it's not important in the Warren Commission.
Evidence is important, but it's not.
But not in the Warren Commission.
Unless you already have a conclusion that you're trying to come to, then you don't have to worry about it.
No, you guys are flawed. There are different levels of evidence, right? There are levels of evidence that you need to collect on to prove your case in a court of law, right? To prove your case to the peers. That is a way more granular level than to come to a conclusion in the intelligence community or anything else that says, okay, we can do this. I don't need all the facts to come to an analytical conclusion like the Warren Commission came to. I can come to that conclusion based off of the evidence that I have, the data that I have, and everything else. But if I want to prove something wrong, if I want to convince a bunch of people that something is wrong, then I need the granularity of the criminal case. But I've seen it both ways. I've seen a criminal case and I've seen an intelligence investigation, and those two things are not congruent with one another. You don't need the same evidence to come to a conclusion in an intelligence case or an intelligence report or an intelligence conclusion as you do in the court of law. And that is a fact, and that does not change. So the fact that you don't interview everybody because it's an intelligence investigation, which is essentially is what it was. If somebody kills the goddamn president, we are treating it the same way as we're tracking down Osama bin Laden. You don't need all the fucking facts to track